What's up, conscious creators? Do you sometimes get this idea in your head about a dream that you could go for? Some way that you want to have a positive impact on the world? Some way that you could possibly create a lifestyle based around something you're passionate about and perhaps create like a supplementary income, or hopefully it eventually starts paying the bills, but then fear gets in the way. You start thinking like, but what will my friends think? What will my family think? Is this even possible? Do I have the skills? Am I going to look like an idiot? Well, I did a podcast recently with Luke Burrows from the Grow Together podcast. That's his podcast. And we were talking about just this. He asked me about where people can start their personal growth journey so they can really start to follow their dreams and pursue their goals. And then we went into some of the fears that I initially had when starting my YouTube channel and how these apply to practically anything that you might start when you start to follow your passion. So I hope you enjoy this.
Like, how do people start? I am sure you get that a lot, like for their people's personal development journeys, personal growth journeys, because there is so much information. You go onto YouTube and maybe type in personal growth and you get like trillions of videos, or onto Google or whatever it is. So what would be some of the, I don't know, top tips or words of inspiration that you would share for someone who are listening to this, watching this, and they do want to start their personal growth journey and going after their goals and their dreams? Where would you recommend they start with all the information that's available?
I think to start with your curiosity, to start with what makes you think about, what makes you curious, what inspires you. Even if it's just something little, you can start to see those sparks within yourself as you look at the information that's presented in front of you and that you can access so easily in the palm of your hand. We have such a wealth of information out there on these smartphones, and it's like crazy. Like people even 10 or 20 years ago, certain people knew it was coming, but even when you know it's coming, it's like you can't quite fathom the absolute impact that it's having, and it will impact even more, just this accessibility to information. So curiosity, realizing the information that's accessible out there on your computer, in your phone, or in books, and more esoteric places, for sure, all around the world, traveling all kinds of different places, and then really framing it in the context of where we are at the moment, because we have an important situation, and there's lots. I'm not saying like let's just discard everything else and focus on sustainability and ecology and conscious politics and stuff like this. But I would encourage people to kind of see if they can integrate these things in a way that help to at least elevate consciousness in some kind of way, at least move people into a slightly more empowered position. Because although we need everyone doing their thing and we need to enjoy fashion and art and music and everything like that, it is also helpful if if it's possible, and if it could feed into creating this sustainability in the first place. Because if we're going to do all the things that we love, we have to have a sustainable foundation to do it from. And now I'm not going out there and cleaning beaches every day, and sometimes I take transport, which is probably not great for the environment, and I probably use too much plastic, but I try to do my thing, and through my coaching and through my say, for example, my Instagram and YouTube, part of what I hope I'm really doing there is one, helping people to move into those more empowered places, but two, also help with the strategies and habits and type of awarenesses that are really applicable and accelerate the journey and their effect, help make their action more effective for anybody that does want to pursue entrepreneurship, creativity, activism, or whatever it is that has a positive impact on the world.
Mm. And so for those people that, maybe do want to do YouTube or podcasting or blogging, and talk about these types of things, but maybe from their friends, their social circle, their family, they're a little bit, I suppose, fearful, of what people might think of them for stepping out and doing something a bit different. I'm just curious, did you ever have that when you started with your YouTube, and how, or how do you recommend to people to start to overcome that fear and just do it anyway type of thing?
I still have that because I still have thoughts and I still have conditioning, and it's part of a mechanism within the brain that's evolved over millions of years to protect us. In ancient cultures, certain ancient cultures, to speak out of line or step out of line or do anything a bit, and the rest of the tribe didn't agree with, could have had you exiled from the tribe and could have even meant death. So the same mechanisms are clicking into place now. And the first thing to do really is to just logically decide whether you are in any danger. Sorry if you can hear the police siren, I'm sure it will go past. But yeah, like logically decide whether you're in any danger, whether there are any, what are the consequences of your actions, and are you okay with those consequences? Let's say it's a friend that might just think you're a bit weird or something, and might say, "What are you doing, mate? What do you think you're doing? We don't really hang out much anymore." Then maybe you could make some more time with them, or maybe you could think, well, if I do my thing, then there's no danger. This person might just think something of me, but there's no danger to me. So once you've looked at the risks and the consequences, which most of the time there won't be any, because this thing is just kicking in with, especially when it comes to Instagram and YouTube, you're safe. You're not, if as long as you're, there's very low chance that anything bad is really going to happen. So then once you know where you stand on it, which is usually you're going to be absolutely fine, then you can just enter a place of presence, and you can enter a place of awareness. And this is the key here. It's moving your awareness back into your sense perceptions, back into the actual life that you have in front of you, the now, the present moment, because you can spend all your time in your head just sort of like focus down onto these thoughts of what might happen and what this person might think, and and you can overanalyze things to the nth degree, because we have this addiction to the thinking mind. In our culture at the moment, the thinking mind takes precedent, and of course it's useful, of course it's a very powerful tool, but at the moment we're possessed by it. And this is why people are finding so much power from spiritual teachers that have their teachings rooted in these philosophies and practices and awarenesses from the East, and mindfulness in general, because it's a liberation from being possessed by these thoughts that stop us from taking steps forward when we're identified with them. It's the realization that's important, the realization that you're not your thoughts, but the awareness that they arise within. And then through that awareness, you can choose which ones to believe. And usually what that random person on Facebook might think of you starting a YouTube channel takes no consideration. So you should just go ahead, when you contrast that with everything that you might have to gain and all the positive service and contribution you can give to the world, if you just step outside yourself, take that courageous step forward and take action, which will eventually compound when you really stick at it, and you could have a really positive impact.
Absolutely.